He was born on February 12, 1809. In his early years, his parents raised him in a modest Kentucky log cabin. With little to his humble beginnings, who could have imagined that he would one day lead the young American Republic through her greatest crisis? The boy was Abraham Lincoln. As a man, he became the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln's mother was Nancy Hanks Lincoln. Known for her gentle nature and strong moral influence, she nurtured Lincoln's early love of reading. Nancy Lincoln died when her son was only 9. Years later, as an adult, Lincoln declared, "All that I am or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother." His father, Thomas Lincoln, a backwoods farmer and carpenter, was steeped in Baptist faith. In 1816, the Lincolns moved to the forests of Little Pigeon Creek, Indiana, where young Abraham labored in dense woods and on the farm. Young Abraham absorbed the sparse schooling available. Although he did not attend church regularly, Lincoln memorized large sections of the Bible. He became an avid reader of Shakespeare. By the age of 21, Abraham Lincoln had worked as a farmhand, surveyor, postmaster, and store clerk. Young Lincoln made at least one flatboat journey to New Orleans, where he glimpsed the wider world and the institution of slavery firsthand. At 21, he pursued the law. Lincoln studied legal texts by himself, including Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law, the text that more than any other formed the legal minds of the Founding Fathers. In 1836, Lincoln was admitted to the bar. Most of Lincoln's law practice was civil law, and the bulk of his cases had to do with debt collection. A major source of income for him were cases representing railroad interests. Lincoln's first political steps came with his election to the Illinois State Legislature in 1834. In 1842, he wed Mary Todd, the daughter of a wealthy Kentucky lawyer and banker, Robert Smith Todd, and his first wife, Elizabeth Parker Todd. The Todds owned slaves. Mary, who opposed slavery, had moved to Springfield to live with her sister, Elizabeth Todd Edwards. There she became involved in politics, which is where she met her future husband. The Lincolns were married in the Edwards home. They would have 4 sons, Robert, Edward, Willie, and Tad. Only Robert survived childhood. Lincoln served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1847 to 1849. Most notably, he opposed the Mexican-American War. In 1849, he returned home to Springfield to continue his legal career. During this time, he studied the ancient text Euclid's Elements. He found there a powerful explanation of what it means to logically demonstrate the truth of a proposition. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, sponsored by Illinois Senator Stephen Douglas, and which would have opened the way to expand the number of slave states, pulled Lincoln back into national politics. That same year, he joined the emerging Republican Party. In October 1854, in a speech in Peoria, Illinois, Lincoln spoke directly against the Kansas-Nebraska Act. "My ancient faith teaches me that all men are created equal, and that there can be no moral right in connection with one man's making a slave of another." In 1858, Lincoln ran for senator as the Republican candidate against Stephen Douglas. 7 times Lincoln and Douglas debated. At the heart of their exchanges lay the question that had been roiling the nation for decades: slavery and its expansion into the new territories. Douglas had long championed popular sovereignty, leaving it to the people of each territory to decide whether slavery would exist. In a speech accepting his party's endorsement for the Senate race, Lincoln framed the struggle in stark moral terms. "A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure, permanently half slave and half free. The towns of Ottawa, Freeport, Jonesboro, Charleston, Galesburg, Quincy, and Alton overflowed with spectators. Newspaper reporters captured every word for readers across the Midwest and beyond. Throughout the debates, Lincoln repeatedly cast Douglas as morally indifferent to slavery. His opponent, Lincoln charged, does not consider slavery a moral question. He leaves the people to decide without regard to the wrongs of the enslaved. The debates drew crowds estimated in the thousands, with some reports claiming attendance as high as 10 to 15,000. Many of the attendees were shipped in via railroad. Lincoln lost his senatorial bid, but 2 years later, in a most remarkable turn of political fortune, he secured the Republican presidential nomination. On November 6, 1860, he won the presidency, and without carrying a single Southern state. On March 4, 1861, Abraham Lincoln delivered his first inaugural address, pledging not to interfere with slavery where it existed, asserting the illegality of secession, and appealing to the better angels of our nature in an effort to hold the Union together. Before Inauguration Day, however, 7 Southern states had already seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America. Less than 4 weeks after Lincoln's inauguration, Confederate troops fired on Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. The House divided had fallen headfirst into civil war.